Well, good evening, everyone. And certainly, before I start, I want to tell Mark Royce, I never mind being in your draft. But also to John and to Sarah, keeping this legacy intact and keeping it in Detroit is special for me and everyone else here tonight. So let's give them a big hand. Obviously, it's a pleasure for me to be here tonight and to celebrate the automotive industry and the honor the new Hall of Fame inductees. I'd like to add my congratulations to Betty Skelton, to David E. Davis, to Atron Senna for their amazing and remarkable careers and contributions to the automotive industry. It's a pleasure to welcome them into this year's Hall of Fame. What an honor and a privilege it is for me tonight to stand before all of you and introduce a leader and a colleague, and most importantly, my friend Dieter Zetsche. My first connection with Dieter was back in 1991. He was moving to the United States of America to become president of Freightliner Trucks. Guess what? We met at the Detroit airport to discuss the Penske relationship with Freightliner and obviously our business at Detroit Diesel. That meeting, for me and for Dieter, turned out to be a pivotal moment for us. Throughout Dieter's remarkable career, Dieter has always, as it was said in the video, shown a relentless pursuit of excellence. From his early days as an electrical engineer and as chairman of Daimler AG and a head of Mercedes-Benz cars, few people have had as much influence on the automotive industry as Dieter. If you asked him what he liked most about his career, he would probably say something like this: products, technology, and certainly motorsports. Dieter is a hands-on guy. He preferred to spend time in a design studio, perform test drives in the pursuit of perfection, and also many, many times help his team win on the racetrack. How could we ever forget tonight the marketing campaign called AskDrZ.com, where Dieter had his picture on the front of the Chrysler headquarters in Auburn Hills. You know something? I never asked him how many cars and trucks he sold. He can be credited with so many accomplishments. However, there are a couple tonight I'd like to highlight. When Dieter took control of Daimler Chrysler back in the early 2000s, Mercedes was struggling. It had lost the luxury sales crown to its chief rival, and he was working through a merger with Chrysler. He was determined to reshape Mercedes and bring it back to prominence. Under his leadership, Mercedes-Benz reaffirmed its reputation for engineering excellence embraced by its future by modernizing the Mercedes-Benz brand. He introduced new models, advanced aerodynamics, improved safety, and always brought a hybrid vehicle option to the brand. Think about that. All of these were big steps designed to bring Mercedes back to prominence. Guess what? Under his leadership, Mercedes-Benz won Formula One championships in consecutive years through 2014 and 2020. And he also recaptured the luxury car crown in 2016, the first in over a decade. At the same time, Dieter can be credited with restructuring the larger Daimler organization by transferring the company from a complex conglomerate to one focused on passenger cars and commercial vehicles. Speaking about engineering, many of you remember the engine Dieter's team developed at Indy for the 500? Let's go back to 1994 when Penske Racing and Mercedes-Benz unveiled something the racing world had never seen before: a powerful stock block V8 racing engines. And it was built in total secrecy, and it was known as the 500i Mercedes-Benz engine. It had raw power, more than 1,000 horsepower packed into this pushrod design. Maybe you don't know, but they called it the Beast. When it finally roared onto the track at Indianapolis, it didn't just compete, it dominated. It captured the pole and led every lap but 7 in the 1994 Indianapolis 500. The entire racing world saw what happens when technical brilliance meets visionary leadership. That story is just about a single engine. It's about understanding capabilities, embracing innovation, and pushing those capabilities to outthink the competition. That's Dieter. While his accomplishments are endless, perhaps the thing I respect most about Dieter is his character. He's authentic, he's honest, and he's engaging. Whether it's the employees on the factory floor or speaking to the next generation of engineers, he leads with humility and a genuine passion for people. That's rare combinations of technical brilliance and human touch, which makes him so respected. As we celebrate Dieter's induction into the Automotive Hall of Fame, his career has been defined by vision and ingenuity that will never be forgotten. Tonight, we welcome him into the Automotive Hall of Fame. We celebrate not only what he has accomplished, but also the inspiration that he has provided so many of us in this room and around the world. Everyone, please join me in congratulating Dieter Zetsche on his well-deserved induction into the Hall of Fame.
Roger, you're leaving me only almost speechless. Because when Roger Penske says nice things about you, you know you've arrived. Thanks, Roger, for your very, very nice words. I appreciate them as well as our long association and our true friendship. And I'm honored to join you and my fellow inductees tonight in the Automotive Hall of Fame. It's great to see so many familiar faces here tonight, colleagues with whom I worked and counterparts against whom I competed. That competition that made us all better. I want to express my appreciation to the Hall of Fame for this recognition. To have one's name and story added to the pantheon of innovative and hard-working people who built this industry over a century and a half is very humbling. When I was notified of my selection some months ago, my first thought was how bewildered my 11 or 12-year-old self would have been about my future self going into a Hall of Fame. Because at that young age, I had already come to the sad conclusion, as do many kids in Germany, that I was no great talent in soccer. And I only associated institutions such as this with sports. There would be no Bundesliga for me. Instead, I went into engineering. And that turned out to be a wise second choice, because it led me directly to the auto industry. In my mind, as likely in many of yours, there's no better place to work and make a career. That's a message I continue to share with young people today. Long ago, the great Austrian economist Dieter Zetsche referred to the auto industry as the mother of all industries. He was right then, and he is still right today, despite all the current challenges. The auto industry touches everything: manufacturing, global trade, technology, marketing, labor, transportation, you name it. It remains the primary driver of many national economies and GDPs. Better still, cars and trucks can be sexy. They're equal parts art and science. If you don't deliver a good product, the market finds you out fast. And the automotive journalists among you won't pull any punches. Now, other industries certainly produce significant goods as well, that we need all. But in this business, you have those wonderful days when you're driving a performance car on a test track in the morning and then driving a highly capable SUV through the muck in the afternoon. And you get paid for it. There are also tremendous global opportunities, of which I was a great beneficiary. The years I spent in Brazil and Argentina earlier in my career with Mercedes were tremendous for my personal and professional growth. Leaving Brazil as a chief engineer to run our company in Argentina was my final step into general management. The company offered me some time in a business school to prepare, as I was only a simple engineer. I declined. 2 years later, under Menem's presidency, I had gone through 4 central bank presidents, 5 ministers of economy, 6 economic plans, a new currency, and hyperinflation peaking at 20,000%. Now, that was a business boot camp. And it was better training than 20 years of business classes in preparing me for the years ahead. I think very fondly of my time here in Detroit heading up Chrysler. It wasn't easy in the beginning. Lee Iacocca's American icon in the hands of a young German engineer was a shock to some. So I was amazed by the support and friendship I received in the following years. Reviving morale, or getting our mojo back, as we said, launching the 300C with Snoop Dogg as its biggest fan, and the Crossfire were all highlights. Chrysler was a very special place. We worked and we played hard. Even our press conferences back then were performance art. Although I was never 100% comfortable being, for example, on stage with dancing girls during a new minivan launch. Working with the Detroit community, the Detroit Economic Club, the United Way, and so many other institutions and local causes was extremely rewarding. The toughest moment in my career came when I had to fly from Stuttgart to Detroit to tell my colleagues and friends that I decided to sell Chrysler. Still, I will forever remain a fan of Motown. In the end, I owe my biggest debt of gratitude to Mercedes, the company that gave me my start. It was the opportunity of a lifetime to lead Daimler and Mercedes for 13 years. Reorganizing and revitalizing that company when I returned to Stuttgart is something of which I'll always be proud. My 2 top priorities as CEO were always to satisfy the interests of all my stakeholders but much more importantly, to be worthy of Gottlieb Daimler and Carl Benz, our founders and inventors of the automobile, by making the Mercedes star shine. Now, that's not to say everything in my 45-year career was always fun, but nothing worth doing is ever easy, and nothing done easily is ever rewarding. I feel my career was truly rewarding. Closing, I'd really like to thank the countless people I worked and sweated with, argued and laughed with whom I've shared the ups and downs, and of course, my family for always supporting me. In sum, it was one hell of a ride. And it's incredible that ride led me here, to this place, and to sharing this evening with all of you. I'm truly honored.